We are often taught that the Ottoman Empire was forged in the fires of the battlefield, but its true power lay in the cold, unyielding silence of the registry office. Here, the most terrifying sound was not a scream, but the rhythmic scratch of a pen, a sound that condemned a bride not to death, but to an eternity of erasure. This is not a story of romance, but of bureaucratic horror, a machine so efficient that wives and daughters were processed like cattle, stamped with new identities, and filed away in the gilded cages of Topkapi Palace. It was not chaos. It was a law so absolute that even memory could not escape it. Before we open these forbidden ledgers, ensure your presence is recorded by liking this video, and tell me in the comments, does a soul truly die when its name is forgotten? Let us begin. Imagine, if you possess the courage to do so, that the year is 1526, and you are standing amidst the suffocating mud of the Mohács plain. The battle is over. The cannons, which had roared like the wrath of God only hours ago, have fallen into a heavy, metallic silence. But this silence is not peaceful. It is merely the pause before the inhalation of a monster. You are Katerina, a daughter of a minor Hungarian noble, though your lineage matters little now, for the mud that coats your velvet dress makes you indistinguishable from the peasants who lie broken beside you. The air is thick, not just with the copper tang of spilled life, but with something far more terrifying, the scent of ink and parchment. You might expect, in these first hours of captivity, to see soldiers drunk on victory, engaging in the chaotic looting that has plagued warfare since the dawn of time. But the Ottoman machine does not operate on chaos. It operates on a terrifying precision that chills your very marrow. Through the twilight mist, figures approach. They do not carry swords to strike you down, nor torches to burn your villages. They carry ledgers. These are the emin, the official scribes of the Sultan, and they walk through the field of carnage with the casual indifference of a farmer inspecting his crop after a storm. To them, you are not a woman. You are not a human being with a soul that trembles. You are taxable asset, a unit of potential profit that must be catalogued before the sun fully sets. As you kneel there, wrists bound with rough hemp that bites into your skin, you witness the application of the Pensic law, the statutory right of the Sultan to claim 1/5 of all war booty, including human flesh. It is a moment of bureaucratic horror that no history book can adequately convey. The scribe stops before you. He does not look into your eyes to see your fear. He looks at your teeth, your hands, the width of your hips. He whispers a number to his assistant. And just like that, the entirety of your past, your name, your childhood, your dreams, is struck from the record, replaced by a cold, financial estimate scribbled into a leather-bound book. You have ceased to be Katerina. You are now lot number 4117, distinct from the others, only by your estimated market value. The efficiency of this process is what breaks your spirit before a single lash is struck. You watch, paralyzed, as the separation begins. It is surgical. The men who survived are moved to the left, destined for the galleys or the mines, their strength to be consumed until they expire. The young boys, those with bright eyes and unformed limbs, are taken to the right, destined for the devshirme, the blood tax that will twist their minds until they return as soldiers to conquer their own people. And then there are the women. You are herded together, a trembling mass of weeping souls. A mother near you clings to her son, her fingers white as bone, screaming a prayer that no one seems to hear. An officer approaches, not with anger, but with a weary sigh, as if dealing with a stubborn mule. He does not strike her. He simply nods to a guard who pries them apart with a mechanical efficiency. The boy is dragged away, looking back one last time, his face etched with a confusion that will haunt the mother for the brief remainder of her life. The scribe notes the transaction. One male child extracted, one female unit processed. The ledger is updated. The march begins, not with a shout, but with the crack of a whip that signals the movement of livestock. You walk until the soles of your feet bleed into the dust of lands you once called home. The journey to Constantinople is not merely a travel through distance, but a travel through degradation. Every few miles, the column stops, not for rest, but for inspection. Merchants and middlemen meet the convoy at designated checkpoints. Like vultures circling a dying animal, they argue with the officers over the quality of the merchandise. You hear them discussing your dehydration, not as a suffering to be alleviated, but as a defect that lowers your price. Someone forces your mouth open to check for disease. You try to look away, to find some dignity in the horizon. But the horizon offers no comfort. Only the endless road leading to the heart of the empire that has consumed you. Night falls, and the cold is a physical weight. The women huddle together for warmth, a tangled mass of limbs and shared misery. In the darkness, the social hierarchies of your old life dissolve. The peasant girl and the countess share the same hard earth. United by the chains that link their ankles, it is here, in the quiet terrors of the night, that the psychological dismantling takes root. You realize that your father cannot save you. The prayers you whisper into the dark seem to dissipate like smoke in a gale. You are entering a world where the only God is the Sultan, and his prophets are the accountants who hold the keys to your cage. Days turn into weeks. The landscape changes from the green hills of Europe to the arid, dusty plains of the Western territories. Some women do not wake up when the morning whistle blows. Their bodies, exhausted by the trauma and the march, have simply given up. And even in death, the bureaucracy persists. The guards do not mourn. They do not bury. They simply unclasp the chains, roll the body to the side of the road, and the scribe, always the scribe, makes a notation. A line is crossed out. An asset has depreciated to zero. You learn to step over the bodies of those you walked with yesterday, keeping your eyes fixed on the ground, terrified that if you look at their faces, you will see your own future staring back at you. As the great walls of Constantinople finally rise in the distance, looming like the teeth of a giant beast, a new kind of fear settles in your stomach. It is not the fear of death, which by now might seem like a mercy, but the fear of the unknown. You have heard the whispers among the older women, stories told in trembling voices about what awaits within the city. They speak of the Avret Pazari, the female market, where dignity is stripped away layer by layer. They speak of the gilded cages, where women are kept like exotic birds, singing songs in a language they do not understand. You look at your hands, caked in dirt and dried blood, and you wonder if you will ever be clean again, or if this filth is now permanent, a stain on your soul that no water can wash away. The gates of the city open. The noise hits you first, a cacophony of 1,000 voices, the smell of roasting meat and unwashed bodies, the overwhelming pulse of an imperial capital. But you are not a visitor. You are inventory. The convoy moves towards the center, towards the stone platforms that have been worn smooth by the feet of millions of women before you. You are about to enter the machinery of valuation, where the abstract horror of the battlefield ledger will become the concrete horror of the auction block. And as you step into the shadow of the market walls, you realize that the silence of the battlefield was preferable. At least there, among the dead, you are still yourself. Here, you are about to become whatever the highest bidder desires you to be. Welcome to Constantinople, the jewel of the world, a city of blinding gold and crushing despair. But you do not enter through the triumphal arches reserved for conquerors. You are funneled towards a district that throbs with a different kind of purpose. This is the Avrat Pazari, the women's market, a place where the air itself seems heavy with the humidity of unwashed bodies and the stale, copper scent of fear. The architecture here is designed not for comfort, but for commerce. High stone walls, 3 feet thick, block out the sounds of the city, creating a hermetically sealed theatre of degradation, where the only law that matters is the law of supply and demand. As you are pushed through the heavy wooden gates, the first thing that assaults your senses is the sheer banality of it all. You might have expected a dungeon, dark and hidden, but this looks like a cattle auction. In the center of the square stand raised wooden platforms, worn smooth and polished by the bare feet of tens of thousands of women who stood there before you. Women from Ukraine, from Georgia, from the Balkans, ghosts who have left nothing behind but the friction of their trembling skin against the wood. You are ordered to climb. The elevation is deliberate. It is theatrical. It forces you to look down upon the men who will decide your fate, while simultaneously stripping you of any power to influence it. Below you, the buyers gather, and this is the true face of the horror. They are not monsters with fangs. They are ordinary men. They are wealthy merchants in silk robes discussing the price of spice. They are household managers with practical lists of domestic needs. They are agents for the palace, looking for something rare. They browse with a casual, terrifying detachment, sipping sweetened sherbet as they scan the rows of captive flesh. To them, you are a potential investment, an asset that must be vetted against the risk of depreciation. Ogier Ghiselin de Busbecq, the ambassador of the Holy Roman Empire who witnessed these markets with a mixture of fascination and revulsion, wrote extensively of what happens next. His words echo across the centuries, a testament to the clinical nature of this violation. They inspect them, he noted, with no more consideration than one would give to a horse at a fair. And now, imagine you are Katerina, feeling the truth of those words on your own skin. A buyer approaches the platform. He does not ask your name. He signals for you to stand. The inspection is a slow, methodical invasion. He steps onto the platform, invading your personal space with an entitlement that makes your breath catch in your throat. His hands smelling of rosewater and coins. Reach out. He pulls back your lips to check your teeth, ensuring you are healthy enough to survive the years of labor ahead. He runs his fingers through your hair, not in a caress, but to check for lice or scalp disease that might infect his household. He squeezes the muscles of your arms and calves, testing their firmness. Can you carry water? Can you scrub floors? Can you bear children without dying in the process? Every touch is a question, and your body's involuntary flinch is the answer he ignores. But for a young woman like Katerina, the valuation goes deeper, into a realm of humiliation that burns hotter than any brand. If the buyer is seeking a concubine, a vessel for pleasure or heirs, the inspection becomes a nightmarish intimacy. Modesty is an obstacle to commerce. Garments are adjusted or removed at the command of a finger snap. They need to see the merchandise in its totality. They discuss your hips, your complexion, the symmetry of your features, debating your value within earshot. Too thin. One might say, look at the scarring on her hands. She has worked the fields. She is not refined. Says another. You stand there, burning with shame, forced to listen as your humanity is dissected, categorized, and priced. You are witnessing the death of your own subjecthood. You are becoming an object. The Edsa sandwich of history reminds us that this was not merely sadistic behavior. It was a cornerstone of the imperial economy. Every transaction on this platform is taxed. The pensik was just the beginning. Now, the market tax, the badihava, is calculated. Scribes sit at small tables at the edge of the market, dipping their quills into ink pots that seem bottomless. They record the sale price. A percentage goes directly to the imperial treasury, the roads of the empire, the mosques, the very salary of the soldiers who captured you. All are funded, in part, by the coin that is about to change hands for your body. The state does not just condone this, the state consumes it. Suddenly, the haggling over you intensifies. A man, dressed in the livery of a powerful pasha, has taken an interest. He sees something in your eyes, perhaps defiance, perhaps a specific shade of despair that he finds appealing. He offers 200 gold ducats. Another counters. The numbers fly back and forth, abstract figures that represent a lifetime of servitude. You are worth more than a skilled weaver, but less than a rare Circassian beauty. You are mid-tier inventory. The gavel does not bang, but hands are shaken. A deal is struck. The buyer hands over a heavy purse. The scribe makes the final entry. One female, Hungarian origin, estimated age 16, sold to the household of Ibrahim Pasha with that line of ink. The chains of the state are replaced by the chains of private ownership. You are pulled down from the platform. The ground feels unsteady beneath your feet. Not because of the physical descent, but because your world has shifted on its axis. You belong to someone now, not in the abstract sense of a prisoner of war, but in the concrete, legal sense of a chair, a table, or a horse. As you are led away from the market, you pass other women still waiting their turn. You lock eyes with one, a girl you marched with, whose name you never learned. She is still on the block, shivering. You want to reach out, to say something, but the guard tugs sharply on your rope. There is no solidarity here, only the solitary confinement of your new status. You are led through the twisting street of Constantinople, further and further away from the open sky, towards the high walls of a private compound, or, if fate is particularly cruel, the imposing gates of the Topkapi Palace itself. The noise of the market fades, replaced by the silence of the walled garden. You have survived the harvest. You have survived the valuation, but as the heavy iron gates clang shut behind you, sealing you inside a world of marble and shadows, you realize that the true terror is only just beginning. You have been sold. You have been stamped. And now, the process of erasure begins in earnest. You will learn that the body can survive what the mind cannot, and that the most dangerous place for a woman in this empire is not the battlefield, but the silken prison of the bedchamber. The heavy gates of Topkapi Palace close behind you with a sound that is final, a thud of timber and iron that echoes like the closing of a coffin lid. You have entered the seraglio, the hidden heart of the Ottoman Empire. If the market was a place of noise and commerce, this place is defined by a terrifying, suffocating silence. It is a silence so profound that it feels heavy, pressing against your eardrums, demanding submission. The beauty of the architecture, the Iznik tiles glowing with celestial blues, the marble fountains weeping their eternal tears, is a cruel deception. This is not a sanctuary. It is a factory. A factory designed to dismantle the human soul and rebuild it into something decorative and obedient. You are led into the harem, a word that Western minds have long associated with exotic indulgence, but which you, Katerina, now understand means simply the forbidden. Here, the air smells of jasmine and stale fear. You are stripped of the rags you wore on the march, the last physical remnants of your journey, and bathed in hammams of scalding water. They scrub your skin until it is raw, as if trying to wash away the very memory of the land you came from. But the true violation is not physical, it is linguistic. An older woman stands before you. She is a kalfa, a supervisor, herself a former slave who has survived the machine long enough to become a cog within it. Her face is a mask of impassive stone. She speaks a single word, pointing a finger at your chest. Gulbahar. You blink, confused. You try to say, "No, I am Katerina." The blow comes before you finish the syllable. It is not a slap of passion, but a calculated strike of discipline. Gulbahar. She repeats, softer, colder. Katerina is dead. She died at the gates. Here, you are Gulbahar. You are the spring rose. And just like that, the theft is complete. The name your mother whispered to you in the cradle. The name your father called across the fields. It is now a contraband word. A crime to be punished. This is the first rule of the factory of silence. Identity is not a right. It is a gift granted by the master. To keep your old name is to commit treason against your new reality. The days blur into a monotonous, grinding routine of indoctrination. The Venetian ambassadors, the bailos, who obsessively documented the inner workings of this mysterious world, wrote with awe and horror about the strictness of the discipline within the harem. It was, they noted, more akin to a monastery than a brothel. You are not taught to be a lover, not yet. You are taught to be a ghost. You learn to walk without making a sound on the marble floors. You learn to lower your eyes when a shadow passes. You learn the sign language of the seraglio, a system of mutes and gestures used by the Sultan and his inner circle. Because speech, unregulated, chaotic human speech, is considered an offense to the royal order. Then comes the spiritual erasure. You are Christian. You pray to Jesus and the Virgin Mary, but the machine requires a new software. You are forced to attend the conversion ceremony. It is not a choice. It is a bureaucratic necessity. You stand before an imam, reciting Arabic words that taste like ash in your mouth. La ilaha illallah. You do not know what they mean, but you know that saying them is the only way to receive your ration of bread. The sandwich of history teaches us that this conversion was legally binding. Once you say the words, under Ottoman law, you are Muslim. To revert, to even whisper a Christian prayer afterwards, is apostasy, a crime punishable by death. They have not just captured your body, they have legally annexed your soul. The harem is a hive of manufactured competition. You are surrounded by hundreds of other women, Russians, Circassians, Greeks, but you are all alone. The genius of the system is that it turns the victims into each other's jailers. Every woman here knows that there are only a few spots at the top. The gozd, the favorite, the kardin, and ultimately the valide sultan, the queen mother. To rise is to survive. To stay at the bottom is to be a servant forever, scrubbing floors until your hands are gnarled and useless. So, the women watch each other. They report whispers. They sabotage rivals. Trust is a luxury no one can afford. You look at the girl sleeping on the mat next to you, lot 418 from the market, and you realize she would sell you out for a silk kaftan or a nod from the Sultan. Months turn into years. You look in the mirror, a polished bronze disc, and the face staring back is a stranger. She wears Turkish silks. She smells of rosewater. She speaks a broken, functional Turkish. She answers to Gulbahar. You try to summon the memory of Katerina, but she is fading. Like a watercolor painting left out in the rain, you can barely remember the specific shade of green of the Hungarian forests. You can no longer recall the sound of your brother's laughter. The erasure is working. The factory is producing its product. But the ultimate purpose of this factory is not just labor. It is reproduction. You are being groomed for the golden road, the pathway to the Sultan's bedchamber. The older women inspect you constantly. They check your cycle, your skin, your teeth. They teach you the arts of pleasure, not as an expression of intimacy, but as a technical skill set, like weaving or calligraphy. You are taught how to pour wine without spilling a drop, how to sit, how to sigh. It is a grotesque parody of romance, a script written by men for the entertainment of one man. One evening, the terrifying inevitable happens. The Kisla Aga, the chief black eunuch, a figure of immense power and dread, enters the dormitory. The room freezes. His eyes scan the rows of women, the inventory of the empire. He holds a ledger, always the ledger. He consults a name written there. He looks up. His gaze lands on you. Gulbahar, he intones, his voice high and hollow. You are chosen. A ripple of envy and pity moves through the room. Envy, because this is the only way out of the servant quarters. Pity, because everyone knows what the honor truly entails. You are not being invited to a wedding. There will be no feasting, no dancing with your village, no father to walk you down the aisle. You are being summoned to perform a duty. You are being called to offer your body to the abstract concept of the dynasty. As the attendants descend upon you to bathe and perfume you for the night to come, you feel a cold dread settling in your stomach, heavier than any chain. The bureaucratic horror has reached its climax. You have been harvested, valued, erased, and retrained. Now you must be consumed. You are about to walk the golden road. But as you stare into the flickering candlelight, you know the truth. It is not a road to paradise. It is the final step into the abyss, where the last remnant of Katerina will be extinguished, leaving only the vessel of the Ottoman bloodline. The silence of the palace seems to scream your new name, over and over, until you can hear nothing else. The corridor leading to the Sultan's private quarters is known as the Golden Road. To the poets of the court, it is a path of celestial favor. To you, Gulbahar, formerly Katerina, it is the longest walk of your life. The stone beneath your feet is cold. Despite the richness of the carpets laid upon it, the air is thick with the scent of musk and ambergris, a perfume so heavy it feels like it is coating your lungs, suffocating you with luxury. You are dressed in the finest silks the empire can produce, fabrics that cost more than your father's entire estate. Yet you have never felt more naked. You are not a bride walking to an altar. You are a tribute being delivered to an emperor. This moment is the culmination of the entire bureaucratic machine, the harvest on the battlefield, the valuation in the market, the erasure in the harem. It was all for this. You stop at the heavy doors inlaid with mother of pearl. The eunuch beside you, a tall shadow in the dim light, nods. There is no ceremony, no vows, no exchange of rings. Those are customs for people who own themselves. Here, there is only protocol. You are instructed to enter, to approach the foot of the bed, to lift the coverlet, and to wait. What happens next is not passion. It is politics enacted upon flesh. The Sultan enters. To the world, he is the shadow of God on earth, the ruler of 3 continents. To you, in the terrifying intimacy of this room, he is a stranger who holds the power of life and death in his breath. The encounter is efficient. It is the sealing of the deed of ownership. You lie there, staring at the painted ceiling, tracing the intricate geometric patterns with your eyes, trying to detach your mind from your body. You float above the room, a silent observer of your own dynastic duty. This is the biological tax paid in full. When it is over, there is no pillow talk, no whispered promises of eternal love. There is only the dismissal. You are sent back to your quarters before dawn, leaving the golden cage not as a wife, but as a vessel that has potentially been filled. But the true horror, the horror that keeps you awake for nights on end, is not the act itself. It is the consequence. In the weeks that follow, you watch your body with a mixture of hope and terror. When the sickness comes, when the monthly blood fails to arrive, the harem celebrates. You are given extra rations, better cushions, a room with a view of the Bosphorus. You are now an Iqbal, a fortunate one, but deep in your heart, you know the truth. The pregnancy announcement is not a blessing. It is a death sentence for your peace of mind. This is where the Edsa sandwich of Ottoman reality reveals its darkest layer. You see, in this empire, a son does not belong to his mother. He belongs to the state, and the state is a jealous god. You have heard the whispers of the law of fratricide, codified by Mehmed the Conqueror. It is a law written in blood to ensure the stability of the throne. Whichever of my sons inherits the Sultan's throne, it is appropriate that he should kill his brothers for the order of the world. Think about that. Let the weight of it crush you. If you give birth to a daughter, she will be sold into marriage at the age of 12 to a vizier 3 times her age, a pawn to secure a political alliance. She will relive your life, trapped in a different cage. But if you give birth to a son, God help you, you will raise him, you will nurse him, you will love him with a ferocity that hurts. But every time you look into his innocent eyes, you will see a target painted on his forehead. You are raising him for a race he did not choose to run. If he is not the chosen one, if he is not the strongest, the smartest, or the luckiest, he will be strangled with a silk bowstring, because royal blood must not be spilled on the ground, by the order of his own brother. And if he is the winner, if he becomes sultan, then he becomes the executioner. The hands you kissed as a baby will sign the death warrants of his own siblings. You are not raising a child. You are raising either a victim or a murderer. There is no middle ground. As your belly swells, the isolation deepens. The other women, the ones who were your friends, now look at you with cold, calculating eyes. You are no longer just Gulbahar. You are the mother of a potential rival. Poison becomes a very real fear. You taste every spoon of soup with trembling lips. You sleep with one eye open. The harem, once a prison of boredom, has become a pit of vipers. You realize that the bureaucratic horror has followed you into the womb itself. The ledger entries have not stopped. They have simply transferred to the unborn life inside you. One male heir, potential threat, high, potential value, infinite. Years pass in this agonizing limbo. You watch your son grow. He is taken from you early, sent to the provinces to learn the art of governance. Accompanied by his tutors and guards, you remain behind in the Topkapi, a living ghost, haunting the corridors. You receive letters, formal and distant, written by scribes, not by your son. You are honored. Yes, you are the Valida, perhaps, but Katerina died a long time ago. One day, the cannons boom over the Bosphorus. The old sultan is dead. The race has begun. You sit in your chambers, hands clutching the prayer beads, waiting for the news. Will the messenger bring the black kaftan of mourning for your son, or the sword of Osman for his coronation? The silence of the palace is deafening. It is the same silence you heard on the battlefield at Mohács, the same silence of the market before the bidding started. It is the silence of a verdict being delivered, and in that final moment, you realize the ultimate tragedy of the Ottoman bride. It was never about the wedding night. It was never about the chains or the walls. It was about the theft of the future. The empire took your past when it erased your name. It took your present when it locked you in these walls, and through your children. It has cannibalized your future. You are left with nothing. No legacy, no family, only a name in a ledger that will one day be closed, shelved, and forgotten in the dust of archives that no one will read for 500 years. This is the price of the golden cage. The gold was real enough, cold and hard, but the bird inside. The bird stopped singing a long time ago. The empire that built these cages has long since crumbled into dust. The sultans are dead. The janissaries are disbanded. Yet, in the silent, dusty archives of Istanbul, the ledgers remain. They are the only true survivors of this story. Rows of neat, cursive script detailing the purchase of human souls as if they were sacks of grain or bolts of silk. Historians marvel at the preservation of these records, at the bureaucratic genius of the Ottoman state. But if you listen closely to the rustle of those ancient pages, you will not hear the triumph of a civilization. You will hear the silence of the millions of Katerinas who were swallowed whole. The names written there, Gulbahar, Mahidevran, Hurrem, are merely masks. The true names, the names whispered by mothers in burning villages, the names that held their identity, Those have vanished into the void, unmourned and unremembered. We often think of history as a record of what happened, but perhaps, in the shadow of the harem, it is merely a record of what was successfully silenced. As the lights of the Topkapi Museum fade and the tourists depart, leaving the tiled corridors to the darkness, ask yourself this haunting question.